Hello there and welcome to another video on poetry, and this time the poem is from the book Tinubdan. So Tinubdan is a literary anthology published by XU Press in 2021. So you have here new voices from Northern Mindanao. So meaning to say the writers are from Northern Mindanao. So this is pretty exciting because it's local literature. So we have to patronize our own, particularly in Mindanao or from the Philippines. So our poem is titled Father Leaving, and it's written by Gino Dolorzo. So let me read to you background about Gino Dolorzo. So he was a fellow for poetry in English at the Davao Writers Workshop in 2010, and also at the 31st Cornelio Faigao Annual Writers Workshop in 2015. His works have appeared in various anthologies and literary magazines. Let me read to you the poem. Your steps are heavy, like the baggage you carry and drag, packed with uncertainties. A flood of tears drowns this blue hut as you move out. Your slouch suggests how we will be missed, like your breakfast value meals, the crisp of unpaid water and electric bills, the bittersweet song of Totoy wailing for milk, and the spicy blaspheming of Mother at your crucified God for putting nothing but salt in our rice. I wonder how time will fly without you as you fly too towards Saudi, where you will scrub toilet bowls and urinals in exchange for our bright future. I wonder who will cradle my face when my eyes turn misty in times like this. The way I have been meaning to put this poem out of its misery. Okay? So by the way, this poem was first published in The Best of Dagmay 2, 2010 to 2012, Davao Writers Guild Tubao Book Series, and ADU or Ateneo de Davao University Publication Office in 2016. But this book, Tinubdan, is published by XU Press or Xavier University Ateneo de Cagayan. Okay, so let us now discuss the poem. So the first few lines will describe to us the steps of the father. Okay, your steps are heavy like the baggage you carry and drag. So from whose point of view is this poem told? So if you read, you will realize that it's coming from the child. So we don't know whether the child is a boy or a girl. Okay, so this child is describing the steps of the father as he was leaving the house. So your steps are heavy. So when your steps are heavy, like you are not 100% approving of what you are doing, like you're dragging your feet. Okay, so the steps here are compared to the luggage which are heavy. So simile as a figure of speech is used by our poet. Okay, so you are dragging your feet just like dragging your baggage, which is heavy. So your whole self is not approving of what you are doing. So this can suggest that the father is not really pleased at leaving his family. And you have the lines packed with uncertainties because he does not know what is in store for him in that new country. So I think that's also felt by anyone uh, although you can be excited because you're earning for the family, but at the same time you're uncertain. You don't know what your future will be. You have no idea whether your boss or your amo will be good to you, or will they maltreat you. So that's really uncertain. Okay, so the next few lines would tell us, a flood of tears drowns this blue hut as you move out. So flood of tears, parang baha. But you know, it's an exaggeration. So it is an example of hyperbole. So you don't really see their tears, no, in flood, but it can suggest that everyone was crying. All the children, perhaps the wife, and the father himself could be crying. So flood of tears. And then the flood of tears drowned their hut or their house. Okay, and blue hut, it doesn't probably follow that the color of their house is blue, but it is suggesting that the house is sad, because blue suggests sadness. Where did I get that? You have the song, right? Bluer than blue, sadder than sad, right? So blue has this connotation of sadness. So the house will be sad because the father is leaving. Your slouch suggests how we will be missed, like your breakfast value meal. So another simile here. So the slouch, you're doing like this, you're slouching, in contrast to this posture wherein you're interested, right? But slouching suggests that you're not really sold out to the idea. Okay, but again, the conflict here is that the father has to leave and go abroad because the family needs financial support. The line, how will be missed, like your breakfast value meals. So what does this mean? So when we talk about value meal, we are reminded of McDo or Jollibee value meal. So I think it suggests that when breakfast or say lunch or even dinner is prepared, you have budget that is considered just good for that particular meal, so value meal. So I think that is the interpretation here, but of course we don't really know. Okay, so as a reader of poetry, we can only speculate based on the lines. So pinagtitipid, no? Siguro that's the meaning, no? Pinagtitipid at what is good for breakfast. Okay, that's it only. Okay, the next line, the crisp of unpaid water and electric bills. So when you have the paper, no, containing the bill, so it's crispy, meaning it's so fresh. Okay, or probably untouched because you haven't brought it to that place where you are going to pay. So it's unpaid, no, it's crisp, not touched. So no payment yet has been done. Okay, crisp of unpaid water and electric bills. The bittersweet song of Totoy wailing for milk. So you have Totoy here, probably the youngest child, wailing or asking for milk, right? And you have the line, bittersweet song. So bittersweet here, how can the song be bitter at the same time sweet, right? So is this what figure of speech is this? Okay, so when you have two contrasting words close to each other, okay, paradox, okay, it can be paradoxical, but when you have two paradoxes, when you have two paradox statements which are close to each other, so yes, it can be paradox, but at the same time it can be oxymoron, especially when there are two paradoxical statements which are very close to each other. Bittersweet. So how come the song of this little child is bittersweet? So isn't it that voices of children are always sweet, especially when it's your child's voice, right? It's music to one's ear. But when I say bittersweet, it's also painful at the same time because the child is asking for milk, and what if you cannot totally provide it? Like there's limited budget for even for the milk, and that is supposed to be the basic food of your child. So it's very painful in the heart. So bittersweet song of the child wailing or asking for milk. So it's a very sad note that the father would be listening to. And the spicy blaspheming of mother at your crucified God for putting nothing but salt in our rice. So the mother here is not really given a positive description because she's blaspheming. Okay, so cursing in Bisaya na malikas. No. So you cannot hear good words coming from the mother. The mother is always complaining, like, why is it that this is the only food that we have on our table? Only salt for our viand. Okay, so we have those complaints coming from the mother. I wonder how time will fly without you as you fly towards Saudi. So here we now know the destination of the father, that it's going to be in Saudi. And based on statistics, Saudi Arabia is the top country that provides job opportunities for Filipinos. So that's the destination of the father. And then we know then after this line the kind of job the father will have in Saudi, where he will scrub toilet bowls and urinals in exchange for our bright future. So probably it's a janitorial job that the father has in Saudi. And good for others, because like other employees who go to Saudi when they have large companies, for example like Aramco or Arabian American Oil Company, where my uncle used to work, and he was earning in dollars, and then there were a number of benefits for them. But for others, we don't really know. So we are uncertain if your boss will be kind or good to you, or what if they are mean to you, or you are not given food. So there are a number of OFWs who are even locked up and not given food. Okay, so very insensitive employers. Okay, so in exchange for our bright future. So here in the Philippines, we believe that when you're educated, that's the way out of poverty, because you will then be employed, and it promises a bright future, especially to our children. So for parents, all they want would just be the best education for their kids. So this is the main reason why the father leaves the Philippines and goes to Saudi. I wonder who will cradle my face when my eyes turn misty in times like this. So just an indication that while the persona was making the poem, he or she was crying. So he wonders who will cradle, who will comfort me every time I cry. So we are also told here that perhaps the persona is distant from his or her mother, because it's the father who will cradle, as suggested in this line. So we don't really have a motherly what do you call this one, behavior, or say, I don't know. The mother here is not really that motherly, probably. I don't know, because diba, usually we turn to our mother when we are emotional, but here it suggests that the persona will go to the father. No? I wonder who will cradle my face when my eyes turn misty in times like this. The way I have been meaning to put this poem out of its misery. So the persona is really miserable, sad, so he could not understand what's going on, no? Emotionally disturbed when the father left. Okay, so one way to release that sad emotion is through poetry or any form of writing. So you might write a creative non-fiction, okay, just to release that emotion. So you have purgation of emotion. So once you are writing, okay, and then you see the emotion there, you see the experience there, so it's a form of release. And sometimes after you write, like, it's a different person in that piece of paper. So it's really a way of releasing what you have inside, rather than keeping it within yourself. Okay, so the way I have been meaning to put this poem out of its misery. So this poem really tackles a serious social issue, particularly in the Philippines, that there are a number of parents who leave their family thinking that it's the best way to support the family financially. And that's really the desire of fathers and even mothers to have a good education for their children. And it's also an eye-opener because sometimes those who are left here in the Philippines may not be using the money wisely. Okay, the intention of the parent is that for the child to go to school, to be educated, but sad to say that there are some children who are not putting that to good use. Nagwaldas ng pera. But we have to think that the parents who are working there, are really, looking for different jobs just to support you. Sweat and tears are involved. Okay, so aside from the nostalgia that they feel because they are away from their family, the sweat and tears, ang paghago, ang hard work, dili mabayaran ang hard work, and ang distance, the distance that you have, it's so difficult. Okay, naaman tayo social media. We have social media. We can communicate through messenger, diba? Or chat, video calls, but the human presence, the touch, the embrace, nothing can really replace that. Okay, so this poem is a salute to all the hardworking fathers and to all the parents, to all the parents in general, for giving their best to their children. Okay, so thank you very much for watching this video, and see you next time as I tackle another poem for you, especially local poetry. Bye, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.